The last song in the snow. The wind howled across the white world. Snow fell without mercy, thick and heavy. Everything was cold. Everything was dying. She sat on her knees, wrapped in a torn cloak made from scraps. Her skin was pale purple, her eyes wide and hollow. Her long fingers held a small bundle close to her chest. Inside that bundle was her child, her baby boy. His skin had turned grayish-blue. He had stopped crying hours ago. She knew what that meant, but she still rocked him, gently back and forth, and sang. Her voice was soft, broken, but sweet. It was a lullaby from her home planet, a song of peace, a song mothers sang when the end came near. She never thought she would sing it here alone, in a frozen world where no one cared, but she sang anyway. Sleep now, little star. The snow can't reach you in dreams. She shivered. Her lips were cracked, her feet were numb. Her tears turned to frost on her cheeks. Still, she held the child tighter. The child's eyes were barely open. He blinked slowly. Then, he gave the tiniest sigh, so soft she almost didn't hear it. Then, nothing. She froze. No, she whispered. She pressed her ear to his chest. Nothing. No. No. Please. She rocked harder. Don't go. Not yet. Not you too. The snow answered with silence. Then, crunch. She turned sharply. Someone, or something, had stepped on the snow behind her. She slowly looked over her shoulder. A shape was moving through the storm. Tall. 2 legs. Broad shoulders. A glowing mask on the face. A heavy coat made of thick brown leather. Steam rose from the figure's body as if it brought warmth with it. A human? She clutched the baby protectively and backed away. The figure raised both hands, palms open, a sign of peace. Hey! The figure shouted over the wind. Don't be afraid. I'm not here to hurt you. She didn't answer. The figure took slow steps forward. Then he stopped about 10 feet away. He reached into his coat and pulled out a small cube. It blinked red and orange. He set it on the ground. It hissed. Then, warmth. Real warmth. Heat radiated from the cube like a fire. She stared at it. Her body ached for that heat, but she didn't move. The man knelt down slowly. I saw your footprints, he said. I followed them. You were lucky. Most people would have frozen to death by now. She looked at the fire, then at him. Finally, she whispered, my child, stopped breathing. The human's face changed. His mask hid his full expression, but his voice softened. Let me see him, he said gently. No, she snapped. He is mine. I just want to help, the human said. I've seen this before. Hypothermia. Sometimes they look dead, but they're not. Not yet. Her hands trembled. I'm a medic, he added. She blinked. She didn't understand all his words, but one word stood out, medic. She slowly unwrapped the bundle and held it out. The human moved carefully. He touched the baby's chest. Then he pulled a tool from his pack. It buzzed as he scanned the tiny body. Seconds passed. Then he spoke. He's alive. Barely, but he's alive. Her heart skipped a beat. The man worked quickly. He took out a small injector and pressed it into the child's arm. Then he wrapped the baby in a special heated blanket. Hold him close, don't let go. Let your body heat reach him. She followed his command, cradling her child again, now wrapped in warmth. I need to get you both to shelter, the human said. Can you walk? She nodded weakly. He helped her stand. Her legs shook. She almost fell, but he caught her. Easy. I've got you. They walked through the snow together, slowly. The child was still silent, but now his breath came faint and steady. She looked at the strange human beside her. Why had he come? Why had he helped her? Why? She asked. The man looked at her and said, because no one should die alone in the snow. Tears filled her eyes again. But this time they were warm. She sang once more. Not for goodbye, but for hope. The human with fire in his hands. The alien mother had never felt heat like this before. Inside the human's strange shelter, half buried. In snow, made from broken ship parts and metal sheets, the air was thick with warmth. A glowing orb sat in the center, giving off soft light and heat. The walls didn't shake from the wind. The silence here was strange and safe. She sat curled in a blanket, her child wrapped close to her chest. His tiny body was still, but not stiff. His color had returned. His breath was weak but steady. He was alive, and all because of the human. She watched him from the corner of her eye. He moved with strength but gentleness. He took off his thick gloves and set down a steaming cup in front of her. His hands were covered in small scars and burns. He looked tired but not weak. His jacket had strange symbols. His boots were heavy, wet from snow. But what caught her eyes most were his hands. He held fire. Not the burning kind, but something different. He pressed a cube, and it hummed to life, heating the air. He mixed dried food with powder, and suddenly there was soup. Everything he touched turned from cold to warm. To her, it was like magic. To him, it was just survival. Eat, he said simply. She didn't understand his words, but she understood the gesture. She looked at the food. It smelled strange, but not bad. Slowly, carefully, she took a sip. It burned her. Tongue at first, but it was a good kind of burn. Warm, filling, like life returning. The child twitched. She gasped and looked down. His eyes blinked. His mouth moved. She held him tighter and whispered his name. The human watched silently. She looked at him again. You have fire in hands. He smiled a little. You could say that. What are you? I'm human. Name's Carter. She repeated softly. Huh, man. Yeah. And you? She hesitated. Valari. He nodded. Valari. And your son? Tino. Tino's a fighter, Carter said, glancing at the baby. Valari lowered her head. He had no strength left. I gave him my cloak, my food, everything, but it wasn't enough. Carter's face darkened. What happened to you? She looked away. Her voice was low. We ran. From the machines. They took my people. Burned. Our world. I hid in the cargo ship. It crashed here. I thought I could find help. Carter was silent for a moment. Then he said, You found it now. Her eyes lifted. But why? Why help? Because you needed it. No one helps a mother with nothing, she said. Not on my world. Carter stirred the small fire again. On my world we help, especially mothers. There was a long pause. The snow outside hit the walls like soft fists. Inside, only the fire crackled. Then Carter stood. We'll stay here tonight. In the morning, I'll take you to the outpost. It's not far. They'll have better medicine, more food, heat, safety. Valari's body tensed. Outpost? More humans? Yes. She looked down. Will they hurt us? He walked over and knelt beside her. No. Not while I'm with you. She looked into his eyes. Something about them was honest. Tino made a soft sound, like a whimper. She looked down fast, fear on her face, but Carter placed a hand gently on the boy's head. It's a good sign, he said. He's waking. Valari touched Carter's wrist. Fire. In hands. You save him. He smiled. No, you saved him. You kept him alive long enough. I just helped. Suddenly a sound broke the peace. A distant mechanical click. Whir, click. Carter froze. He got up fast, moving toward a screen on the wall. He pressed a button. A grainy image showed outside, a red, blinking light. Drones, he muttered. Valari stood, fear rising in her throat. They found us. Carter grabbed a long black object from the wall. You said machines took your people, right? What kind? Hunters. Cold metal. Red eyes. They take the weak. His jaw tightened. He looked at her. You stay here. Keep the baby warm. Lock the hatch behind me. What are you doing? She asked. Carter looked down at the weapon in his hands, lighting a different kind of fire. He opened the door. Snow blew in. He stepped out. Valari ran to the hatch and locked it as he said. Then she grabbed her child and sat by the fire, holding him close. Outside, the sound of wind was joined by something louder. Gunfire. Sparks. Screams. Valari closed her eyes and rocked slowly. She whispered, "Please, come back, human. Don't let your fire go out." Night under the broken sky. The sky above was broken, torn open by the long trail of stars that blinked and flickered behind the clouds. Valari had never seen such a sky. Her world had rings of light, soft pink suns. This sky, it was black and angry. She sat inside the shelter, still holding Tino close. The fire orb glowed beside her, casting shadows on the walls. Her child stirred now and then, his small fingers twitching, his breath thin but alive. Outside. Silence. She didn't know how long the human had been gone. 10 minutes? An hour? She stared at the sealed door, her heart heavy with fear. What if he didn't return? Then suddenly, 3 knocks. Pause. 2 knocks. The pattern. Valari rushed to unlock the hatch. Carter stepped inside, covered in snow, his weapon glowing faint red near the barrel. His coat was torn at one sleeve and there was a burn mark on his arm. But he was standing, breathing, alive. She said nothing, just stared at him, heart racing. He spoke while pulling off his gloves. "One drone, scout type, sent a signal before I fried it. We've got hours, maybe less, before more come." She didn't understand everything, but she understood danger. Carter looked at her. "We can't stay here tomorrow. We move at first light." Valari asked, "Is it far?" 3 hours, he said. Maybe 4 with the baby. She looked down at her child, who now made small, wet sounds in his sleep. His lips had color. He was stronger. "He will survive?" she asked softly. "If we keep him warm, fed, and safe," Carter replied. She sat in silence. He sat beside her. The night outside grew darker. The wind roared, shaking the metal walls now and then. "Tell me about your world," Carter said. Valari blinked. "Why?" "Helps keep the mind busy, especially during long nights." She sighed. "My world was green. Trees that reached the clouds, rivers like silver threads. We were not fighters. We grew things, sang, danced. My people thought songs could heal." He raised a brow. "Maybe they can." She looked at him. "You don't sing?" Carter chuckled. "Not well." She smiled, the first smile he had seen from her. Then she added, "My people didn't believe in weapons. That was our end. When the machines came, we had no fire to fight them. Only songs." Carter looked away. "That sounds like something humans would admire, and also fear." She stared at his face. "You have seen war." "I've been in it." "Lost someone?" He didn't answer at first. Then he said, "Too many." She nodded. "Me too." They sat together, broken souls under a broken sky. Suddenly a sharp noise rang out, a faint cry, "Tino." Valari bent down fast. "Tino, shh, I'm here." But his body was hot now. Too hot. She touched his forehead. "He burns." Carter leaned in, checking with a device. "He's got a fever. His body's trying to fight the cold, but it's overreacting. Could be an infection." Her voice trembled. "Can he survive this too?" Carter dug through his pack. "I have one more shot of antibiotics. After this, we need a proper med unit." He paused, holding the vial. This is made for human biology, but maybe it'll work. Valari closed her eyes. Do it. He injected the child gently. Then they waited. Valari whispered a new lullaby, different from the snow song. This one was not for death. It was for healing. A melody only mothers knew. It was soft, warm, and full of love. Carter didn't understand the words, but he felt them. The child stopped crying. His breathing steadied again. Carter sighed. You did it. No, she whispered. We did it. Outside, the sky cracked with thunder, though there were no clouds. Carter looked up through the gap in the roof. Stars moved, or something among the stars. They're coming, he said. Valari's eyes followed his gaze. She didn't need to ask who. She knew. The machines never stopped, but tonight, they had fire. They had each other, and they had hope. Footprints that were not his. Morning came, but the sun never showed. The sky stayed dull gray, heavy with clouds. The snow had stopped falling, but the wind still moved across the ground in soft whispers, like ghosts brushing past. Carter stepped outside the shelter first, scanning the frozen valley with sharp eyes. Valari stayed inside, holding Tino close, wrapped in the heated blanket. His fever had gone down, but he was still weak. Too weak to move far. Carter returned after a moment and spoke firmly. We go now. Valari looked up. He's still not strong. He won't survive if we stay. The drones will return with others, bigger, smarter. She didn't argue. Carter packed quickly. He handed her a heated pad for the baby and wrapped her in another thermal cloak. He led them into the cold again, his steps firm, hers careful, slow. Valari followed close, her child pressed tightly to her chest. The land was open, flat ice. Broken hills in the distance. Trees stood like twisted bones. Nothing looked alive, but something was watching. They had walked nearly 2 hours when Carter stopped suddenly. Valari bumped into his back and stepped aside. What is it? She asked. Carter crouched low. His eyes scanned the snow. Then he pointed. Look. Valari followed his gaze. Footprints, but they were not theirs. The prints were thin and long, claw-shaped, spaced evenly. Not heavy like Carter's boots, not soft like Valari's bare patterns. Something else had walked here. Recently. Carter rose, his weapon half raised. Stay behind me. Is it a drone? Valari whispered. No, drones don't walk. They hover. She looked down again. Then what is it? He didn't answer. The prince went off into a group of rocks nearby. Carter walked toward them slowly, step by step, until he reached the edge of the stones. He peered around. Nothing, but something felt wrong. He turned back, only to find Valari staring at a tree nearby. Her eyes wide. What is it? He asked. Hurrying over. She pointed. On the trunk were marks, deep scratches, vertical and clean, as if made by something sharp. And beside them, 3 small red drops, frozen in place. Blood? Carter said, reaching closer. Not human, Valari said quickly. Smells wrong. Carter raised his weapon again. Let's keep moving, fast. They didn't speak much after that. The snow got thicker again. The sky darkened. The wind picked up speed. Valari's legs started to slow. Her breathing became heavy. Tina whimpered in her arms. Carter looked back and cursed softly. You need rest, she shook her head. No, just give me a moment. But the wind said otherwise. Ahead, they spotted the entrance of an old mining facility. The metal doors were rusted but half open. Broken lights blinked faintly. It was shelter. They rushed in. Inside, the air was dry and still. Machines lay dead on the floor, covered in dust. Carter checked the walls. Power was gone, but the space was safe, for now. He lit a small light and turned to Valari. You and the baby rest here. I'll check the rest. She nodded and curled up in the corner, wrapping her cloak around both of them. As Carter walked deeper into the mine, he tapped on metal walls looking for weak points or signs of life. Then he found something, a bedroll. Still warm, a bite of food, half-eaten, and a small necklace, beads made from stone and bone. He picked it up slowly. Someone was here. Still might be. He returned quickly, more alert now. Valari looked up as he entered. "You found something?" "Yes," he said. "We're not alone." Just then, a faint rustling echoed above them. Dust fell from the ceiling. Valari's grip on Tino tightened. Carter raised his weapon and scanned the shadows. "Show yourself," he barked. Silence. Then, a voice. Feminine. "Raspy alien, you bring warmth into the cold, and fire into our land. You are not like the others." Carter spun toward the sound. A shape stepped from the shadows above. Thin, tall, cloaked in rags. Glowing green eyes shone from a hidden face. Valari gasped. You're one of us." The figure stepped forward, revealing an old alien woman, hunched but steady. "I was," she whispered. "Long ago. Before the machines, before the snow." Carter didn't lower his weapon. "What do you want?" he asked. The old woman smiled faintly. "I want nothing," she said. "But she does." She pointed to Valari. "What do you mean?" Valari asked. The old woman knelt down beside her. "You carry more than a child. You carry the last voice of our kind, and they are coming to silence it." Carter stepped forward. "How do you know that?" The woman turned her head toward him. "Because I've been running from them for 40 years, and now they've followed you." She lied about her past. Carter stared at the old alien woman, her green eyes glowing in the shadows. Her words echoed in his mind. "They followed you." Valari sat frozen, her arms wrapped tightly around Tino. The boy was asleep again, but his breath was slow and shallow. He was unaware that death still walked close. Carter lowered his weapon slowly. "You said she's carrying more than a child. What does that mean?" The old woman looked at Valari. "Tell him." Valari's lips trembled. She looked down. "I didn't mean to lie," she said quietly. Carter frowned. "Lie about what?" "My name. My story. Who I really am." He folded his arms. "I think now's a good time to explain." Valari swallowed hard. She reached inside her cloak and pulled out something small, flat and metallic. It was a silver medallion, shaped like a leaf with a glowing center. She held it up with shaking hands. "I am not just Valari. My full name is Valerina Tal." The old woman bowed her head. "The last daughter of House Tal, the royal bloodline." Carter blinked. "Wait, you're royalty?" Valari nodded slowly. "Before the war, before the machines came. My family ruled the southern stars of Varela. Prime. We believed in peace and healing in life, but the machines don't care about blood or peace," Carter finished. "They only care about function, about wiping out anything they can't use." Valari looked at Tino. "They burned our cities. My people tried to negotiate, to reason. But there is no reasoning with metal. I escaped on a supply ship meant for servants. I hid among the crates, pregnant, alone." Carter leaned against the wall, breathing deeply. "You knew they'd be hunting you." "Yes. And you still came here? Near human territory." "I had nowhere else to go," Valari whispered. "I thought if I stayed hidden long enough, maybe they'd forget. Maybe Tino could grow up as a nobody, a child with no crown. Just free." Carter shook his head slowly. "Royal blood or not, you should have told me." "I thought you'd leave me," she said softly. He paused. "I wouldn't have." The old woman stepped forward again. "The machines are not just after her, they're after the child. That boy may be the last royal heir left alive. If he dies, the Tal line dies. No symbol, no voice, no one to unite the scattered tribes that remain." Carter looked at the child now with new eyes. That tiny heartbeat, barely strong enough to survive, held the future of a people. He exhaled sharply. So this is bigger than survival now. You're not just a refugee. You're a symbol. I didn't want to be, Valari whispered. Doesn't matter, the old woman said. They'll never stop chasing you now. Carter nodded slowly, his face hardening. Then we don't run anymore. We fight. We outsmart them. You? The woman asked. A single human? Carter smirked. Sometimes, one is enough. That night, while Tino slept near the warm fire, Carter sat down beside Valari. I need to ask something, he said. She turned to him, tired but alert. If we survive this, what will you do? Valari thought for a moment. I don't know. I never planned past tomorrow. Will you hide again? She looked away. Maybe. I think you should lead. Valari stared at him. Lead? You have something left most don't. A name, a reason, a child, and now someone who won't let you fall. She blinked. You mean you? He shrugged. You and Tino matter now. Not just to me, but to something bigger. And I'm not walking away. She smiled faintly. You humans are strange. You're not wrong, he said, chuckling. Suddenly, a crackling noise came from Carter's pack. He pulled out a small radio, static, then a voice, robotic, cold. Target located. Royal signal confirmed. Prepare extraction. Erase all witnesses. Valari's face went pale. They're here, she whispered. Carter stood quickly and grabbed his weapon. Get ready. He looked at the child, then at Valari. No more hiding, they want royalty. Let's show them what kind. A child's cry wakes the monster. The cave shook, not from footsteps, but from something beneath the ground. Valari held, Tino close, her arms trembling. The child had begun to cry, not a soft whimper like before, but a loud, sharp scream that echoed off the walls. He cried like he was in pain, or like something was calling to him, and he was calling back. Carter looked at the radio again, static now. The machine voice had gone silent. The old alien woman stood still, her eyes wide. It's not them, not the machines. Something else is moving. Carter raised his weapon. Define something else. The woman whispered, the old one. Valari gasped. That's a myth. No, the old woman said. It sleeps under this land. It was here before the machines, before us, buried under snow and silence. Another rumble. Dust fell from the ceiling. Ice cracked outside the cave entrance. Tino wailed louder. Carter grabbed Valari's shoulder. We need to move now. But the entrance was blocked. A massive wall of ice and rock had collapsed, sealing them in. Carter ran to it and tried moving. Chunks of stone, but they were too big. Behind them, the back of the cave shifted. A low groaning sound came from deep inside the mountain. The ground pulsed once, like a heartbeat. Valari backed away, clutching her child. He's waking something. The old woman knelt beside Tino and placed a hand on his chest. His blood, it carries the royal code, not just for people, but for the land. The planet remembers your bloodline. Carter gave a sharp look. What are you talking about? This place was once ruled by her ancestors. Long ago, before they left this world behind. They bound a protector into the ice, a living weapon, a guardian. Why would they bury a guardian, Carter asked. Because they were afraid of it. The air grew hotter, not from fire, but from something ancient stirring. The floor cracked open behind them. From the shadows, a massive shape began to rise. It was not metal, not machine, not fully beast either. It was bone and ice and something alive. A creature, twice the size, of a shuttle, with long frozen limbs and glowing blue veins. Horns curved from its skull like twisted branches. Its eyes opened, bright white lights, burning without flame. Valari screamed and covered Tino with her cloak. Carter raised his weapon and stepped in front of them. Stay back, he shouted. The creature didn't attack. It stood tall, towering over them. And then, it bowed. Valari stared in shock. It recognizes us. The old woman smiled faintly. The child's blood woke it. It is bound to protect the last heir. Carter slowly lowered his gun. So, it's on our side? For now, the old woman said. But the machines, they will be here soon. And when they come, this beast will not stop. It was made to fight until the land is red. The Guardian opened its mouth and let out a sound like thunder cracking open the sky. Far off, the machines would hear it. Carter turned to Valari. This changes everything. We're not just running now. We're making a stand. Valari nodded, her face pale. How do we control it? You don't, said the old woman. You ask, with song. Valari looked down at her baby, whose cry had softened. Then she stood, and she sang. Not the lullaby from the snow, not the healing song, but a command, a call to arms, words from an ancient time when rulers spoke to the earth. The creature tilted its head, then it roared again, and the walls of the cave cracked open, bursting outward in a rain of rock and snow. They were no longer trapped. Carter grabbed his gear. We move now, toward the outpost. The creature moved ahead of them, stomping through, the snow shaking the ground. Valari whispered, Let them come. Carter smirked. Yeah, let them. In the sky, metal dots appeared, machine ships cutting through the clouds. But this time they would be the ones afraid, because the child had cried and the monster had woken. The song that saved them all, the sky above burned. Machine ships had broken through the clouds, flying low, fast, hunting. Their red lights blinked in patterns. Their engines hummed like a swarm of angry insects. Below, the Guardian walked, huge, powerful, alive with ancient energy. Its feet cracked the ice. Its body glowed brighter with every step, answering the call in the blood of the child it had sworn to protect. Valari held Tino close to her chest. The baby no longer cried. He was calm, as if he knew the war had come. Beside her, Carter checked his weapon one last time. If this is the end, he said, we'll make sure it's remembered. Valari nodded. Not the end. Not for him. Behind them, the old alien woman had stayed back. I will send word to the stars, she had promised. If you survive, others will follow. But survival was not promised. The machines landed in the valley. Tall drones stepped out, gray, cold, expressionless. Red sensors scanned the land. Guns locked. Their leader, a taller machine with golden plating, raised a hand. Hand over the royal code, it said through a speaker. Do this, and the child will be terminated quickly. Carter aimed his gun. You'll have to go through me. Valari stepped forward, holding her baby high. You do not speak to us, you do not command us. The machine leader tilted its head. You are weak, fleeing, dying. You are nothing. Valari's voice didn't rise. She sang. At first it was only a whisper. The wind carried her voice across the white valley. Then it grew. A language older than war. A song with no fear in its notes. The machines paused. The Guardian behind her answered the song, not with words, but with action. It charged. The earth shook as it crashed into the first wave of drones, smashing them into frozen shards. Metal bodies flew through the air like paper. Guns fired, but the Guardian's hide was like stone. Carter fired from behind cover, striking weak points in the drone's joints. Sparks flew. Still, more came. Dozens, hundreds, too many. Carter shouted, Valari, the Guardian can't hold them all. But Valari didn't stop singing. Instead, she began to walk. She walked into the middle of the battlefield, her voice rising with power. Her arms held her child above her head like a symbol. A beam of light fell from the broken sky. The medallion on her chest glowed. So did Tino's skin. The machines stopped moving. All of them. The leader stepped forward. What is this? Valari sang louder. And something answered. Not just the Guardian. The land itself. The frozen valley cracked. The ground split open. More ancient shapes rose. Half-buried protectors like the first. Long asleep. 2. Then 3. Then more. Creatures. Of ice and stone with hearts tied to her blood. Carter's mouth fell open. "You've got an army?" "No," Valari said softly. "He does." She looked down at her child. Tino's eyes blinked open. He looked at her and smiled. The machines panicked. They tried to retreat, but it was too late. The Guardians crashed through their ranks like living storms. Explosions rang across the ice. Light and fire danced in the sky. It wasn't a battle. It was a cleansing. And when the smoke cleared, silence. The battlefield was broken. Burnt metal littered the snow. The Guardian knelt before Valari again, waiting for her final note. She finished her song with a single word: rest. The giant creature rumbled low, then sank into the snow once more, its duty done. Valari fell to her knees holding Tino. She was crying, but not from sorrow, from relief. Carter came running to her side. "You're okay?" She nodded. "He is." They sat together in the snow, surrounded by stillness and ash. Then, from behind, they heard footsteps, slow and soft. The old alien woman returned, her cloak covered in snow. She bowed deeply before them. "Your song has been heard," she said. "Across the stars. Across the ruins." "What now?" Carter asked. The woman smiled. "Now, she leads." Valari looked down at her child. "No," she said softly. "He leads." 3 years later, a small green sprout pushed through the snow. Then, another and another. In the distance, a great city was rising, built by many hands, human and alien. In the center stood a statue, a woman holding a child to the sky. Beside them, a human stood with fire in his hands, and beneath their feet, the frozen earth rested peacefully. Because the child had cried, and the mother had sung, and the human had answered. Together, they had changed everything, forever.